It's 2014. The president of Emirates Airlines, Tim Clark, walks into a Boeing boardroom with a deal that would change aviation history. A commitment to buy 150 Boeing 777X aircrafts worth $76 billion. It was the largest commercial aircraft order ever placed at the time. Boeing executives were celebrating. Emirates was betting its entire future on a plane that existed only on paper. Fast forward to today, and that celebration has turned into one of the most intense battles in commercial aviation. The 777X is now 5 years behind schedule. Emirates has slashed its orders, Boeing is bleeding billions, and Tim Clark? He's publicly questioning whether Boeing can even deliver the plane he once championed. This isn't just a story about delayed deliveries or corporate disputes. This is about the collision between the world's largest international airline and America's aerospace giant. A battle that will determine who controls the future of long-haul aviation. The stakes? Nothing less than supremacy in the $200 billion wide-body aircraft market. So, who's really winning the 777X battle? The answer might surprise you, because in this fight, victory isn't just about who gets the planes. It's about who holds the power to reshape global aviation. To understand this battle, we need to understand why Emirates wanted the 777X. Emirates isn't just any airline, it's a super connector. From its Dubai hub, Emirates can reach 2/3 of the world's population within 8 hours. Their entire business model depends on having the most efficient, longest-range aircraft to connect any 2 points on Earth through Dubai. The Boeing 777X promised to be the perfect machine for this mission. With its revolutionary folding wingtips stretching 235 feet, wider than any commercial aircraft ever built, it would deliver unprecedented fuel efficiency. The GE9X engines, the largest jet engines ever created, would burn 10% less fuel than anything else in the sky. The cabin would be wider, quieter, with bigger windows and better pressurization. For passengers, it meant arriving more refreshed. For Emirates, it meant lower operating costs and the ability to profitably fly ultra-long routes that no other airline could touch. Boeing wasn't just selling an airplane, they were selling Emirates a competitive weapon. And Emirates wasn't just buying planes, they were trying to lock in their dominance for the next 3 decades. The initial order for 150 aircrafts would essentially give Emirates control over the majority of 777X production for years. Competitors would have to wait in line behind Emirates, watching as the Dubai carrier deployed these super-efficient jets on their most profitable routes. But here's where the story takes its first dark turn. Boeing made promises about delivery dates and performance that, in retrospect, seem almost impossibly optimistic. The first 777X was supposed to be delivered in 2020. Boeing was so confident that they actually brought Emirates executives to Seattle to watch the first fuselage sections being assembled. Everyone was smiling. Everyone was confident. Everyone was wrong. The first signs of trouble came in 2019 when Boeing's 737 MAX crisis erupted. 2 crashes, 346 deaths, and a worldwide grounding shook Boeing to its core. But while the world focused on the 737 MAX, something else was happening in Boeing's factories. The 777X program was quietly falling apart. Engine problems emerged first. The GE9X, those massive engines that were supposed to revolutionize efficiency, started failing during testing. Compressor stalls, durability issues, unexpected wear patterns. Each problem meant delays, redesigns, and more delays. Then came structural issues. During ground testing, a cargo door blew out. The fuselage failed pressure tests. Boeing discovered they needed to redesign key structural components. But the real disaster came during certification. The 777X was supposed to be a derivative of the existing 777, allowing for a streamlined certification process. Instead, regulators, burned by the 737 MAX scandal, decided to treat it almost like an entirely new aircraft. Every system, every component, every line of code would be scrutinized. What Boeing thought would take months was now looking like it would take years. For Emirates, watching from Dubai, each delay was more than just an inconvenience. It was a strategic catastrophe. The airline had planned its entire fleet renewal around the 777X. Older 777s and A380s were supposed to be retired and replaced. Route expansion plans were built on the 777X's capabilities. Financial projections assumed the fuel savings would kick in by 2020. Instead, Emirates was stuck flying older, less efficient aircrafts, while competitors like Qatar Airways and Singapore Airlines were taking delivery of new Airbus A350s. Tim Clark's frustration began to boil over in public. In interview after interview, he started sending not-so-subtle messages to Boeing. He questioned their engineering capabilities. He wondered aloud about management decisions. He even suggested that Boeing had lost its way, prioritizing financial engineering over actual engineering. For Boeing, having their largest customer publicly doubt them was devastating for confidence in the program. This is where the battle dynamics get really interesting. In 2023, something unprecedented happened. Emirates converted a significant portion of their 777X orders to the smaller 787 Dreamliner. On the surface, this might seem like a minor adjustment. In reality, it was a seismic shift in the power balance. Emirates was essentially telling Boeing, "We don't need you as much as you need us." The 787 orders gave Emirates flexibility. They could source aircrafts from other manufacturers. They could adjust their network strategy. Most importantly, they could wait. Boeing, on the other hand, couldn't wait. With the 777X program already billions over budget, losing Emirates orders would be catastrophic. But Emirates' power play went even deeper. By maintaining some 777X orders while diversifying to 787s, they kept leverage over Boeing while reducing their own risk. It's a masterclass in strategic procurement. Emirates positioned themselves to benefit if the 777X succeeds while protecting themselves if it fails. The financial implications for Boeing are staggering. The 777X program has already cost over $15 billion in development. Each delay adds hundreds of millions in costs. Boeing needs to sell approximately 300 aircrafts just to break even on the program. Without Emirates' full order, that break-even point moves further into the future, possibly into the 2040s. Meanwhile, Emirates has been surprisingly resilient despite not having the 777X. They've extended the life of their existing fleet, negotiated better deals on other aircrafts, and even started taking delivery of competing Airbus A350s through a creative deal with a leasing company. Every month that passes without the 777X, Emirates proves they can thrive without it. And every month Emirates thrives without the 777X, Boeing's negotiating position weakens. Let's talk about what's really happening with the aircraft itself, because the technical challenges reveal just how ambitious, some might say overambitious, the 777X program really is. The folding wingtips, the 777X's signature feature, represent an engineering marvel and a potential nightmare. No commercial aircraft has ever had folding wingtips before. They need to lock securely for flight, fold reliably for ground operations, and do this thousands of times without failure. The mechanism adds weight, complexity, and potential failure points. Pilots need special training. Airports need new procedures. Maintenance crews need new expertise. The GE9X engines are pushing the boundaries of what's physically possible. With a fan diameter of 134 inches, they're so large that their circumference is greater than the fuselage of a 737. The engineering required to make something that massive spin at thousands of RPM, while maintaining perfect balance and reliability, is mind-bending. Early test failures showed just how close to the edge of possibility these engines operate. Then there's the composite wing, the largest ever built from carbon fiber. Boeing learned from the 787 that composites behave differently than aluminum. They expand and contract differently. They fail differently, they repair differently. The 777 X-Wing is even larger and more complex than the 787s, and Boeing is discovering new challenges with each test flight. But perhaps the biggest technical challenge isn't any single component, it's integration. The 777X needs to be more than just a collection of advanced technologies. It needs to be a harmonious system where everything works together perfectly. The flight control software needs to manage those folding wingtips. The engines need to communicate with the aircraft's systems. The composite structures need to handle the forces generated by those massive engines. Every delay suggests Boeing is struggling with this integration challenge. So we return to our central question: who's winning the 777X battle? The answer depends on how you define victory. If winning means maintaining control over your strategic destiny, Emirates is ahead. They've diversified their fleet options, maintained operational flexibility, and proven they can succeed without the 777X. They've also extracted significant concessions from Boeing: better pricing, more favorable terms, and additional compensation for delays. Every month of delay actually strengthens Emirates' position for future negotiations. If winning means maintaining market position and corporate reputation, Boeing is losing badly. The 777X delays have damaged Boeing's credibility at a time when they desperately need to rebuild trust after the 737 MAX crisis. Airbus has seized the narrative, positioning their A350 as the reliable, available alternative to Boeing's perpetually delayed promise. Boeing's stock price reflects this reality. Investors have lost confidence in Boeing's ability to execute major programs. But there's a third perspective. Maybe nobody's winning. The delays are costing both companies billions. Emirates is flying less efficient aircraft than planned, impacting their competitive position and environmental goals. Boeing is burning through cash and credibility. The entire aviation industry is being held back by the absence of the 777X's promised efficiency gains. The real winner might be Airbus, watching from the sidelines as their A350 family gains market share with every 777X delay. Or perhaps it's the leasing companies, who are seeing increased demand for their existing wide-body aircraft, as airlines scramble to cover for missing 777X deliveries. Looking ahead, the 777X battle is entering a critical phase. Boeing now says first delivery will happen in 2025, but few in the industry believe this timeline. Each additional delay exponentially increases the pressure on both companies. For Emirates, the calculation is becoming stark. How long do you wait for a promise? At some point, the opportunity cost of not having modern aircraft outweighs the potential benefits of the 777X. Emirates could pivot more dramatically toward Airbus, fundamentally reshaping the wide-body market for decades. For Boeing, the situation is even more critical. The company needs the 777X to succeed not just financially, but symbolically. It needs to prove it can still execute major programs. It needs to show it hasn't lost its engineering edge to Airbus. The 777X has become about more than just one aircraft program. It's about Boeing's future as a commercial aircraft manufacturer. The resolution of this battle will likely come in one of three ways. First, Boeing could finally deliver a 777X that meets or exceeds all promises, vindicating both companies' patience and reuniting them in success. This is Boeing's hope, and Emirates' increasingly skeptical expectation. Second, the relationship could fundamentally rupture, with Emirates canceling most or all remaining orders and Boeing having to find new customers for the 777X, a scenario that would damage both companies but might be inevitable if delays continue. Third, and perhaps most likely, both companies could negotiate a face-saving compromise: reduced orders, modified specifications, financial compensations that allows both to claim partial victory while acknowledging partial defeat. The Emirates versus Boeing 777X battle is more than just a commercial dispute. It's a defining moment for commercial aviation. It represents the collision between ambition and reality, between promises and physics, between the old world of aviation dominated by Boeing and a new world where power is more distributed. Neither Emirates nor Boeing is definitively winning this battle because it's not a battle that can be won in a traditional sense. It's a slow-motion collision that's reshaping both companies and the entire industry. Emirates is learning the limits of depending on a single manufacturer for strategic aircraft. Boeing is learning the costs of over-promising in an age of increased scrutiny. The industry is learning that the era of revolutionary new aircrafts might be giving way to an era of incremental improvements. The 777X will eventually fly in Emirates colors. There's too much invested for it not to. But when it does, it won't represent the triumph that either company originally envisioned. Instead, it will stand as a monument to the complexities of modern aviation, where technical ambition, commercial pressure, and strategic necessity create battles where victory is measured not in absolute terms, but in who loses least. In the end, the real question isn't who's winning the 777X battle. It's whether the battle itself was worth fighting. And that's a question only time will answer. Who do you think will win? Drop your answers in the comments, and if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.